Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 582. And my opponent played d4, I played knight f6, and then he went with knight f3. So this is one of those moves that's pretty flexible. It often introduces the London system with bishop to f4, or sometimes the call system with e3, or knight to or bishop to g5, which would be the Tory attack. But my opponent has a different idea. I played d5, and then he just plays c4. So it's just a different way to get to a queen's gambit position. He played the knight out first, and then he put the pawn forward. So I guess that's okay if you know you always want the knight on f3. It's an okay way to play. And now normal moves would be e6, queen's gambit decline, c6, the Slav defense, or d takes c4, which I played. That's the queen's gambit accepted. And then he plays a really rare move, a4. I thought during the game he was playing some known line that I wasn't familiar with, because I don't play this so often, but it turns out he was just winging it. The normal move here is e3, and that's also the way I play it. You play e3, and then you just round up that pawn, and it's a fine position for white. A4 is a bit unusual and actually gives me some chances here. We'll take a look at this. I don't make the most of them. One thing I wasn't realizing here is that I play e6, and one of the ideas with e6 is to stop this d pawn from coming forward. But the d pawn is already stopped. The queen and the knight are effectively controlling the d5 square. So I don't really need to play e6. I could just immediately get the bishop outside the pawn chain. The chess engine wants me to play a move like e5 here, immediately busting things up. So e6 a little bit quiet. Let's see, he goes knight e5. And right here I have a chance to get a significant advantage out of the opening. If you want to think about this one for a little bit, it's an interesting position. Why don't you see what you would play as black here? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. The bishop to b5 is check, is very disruptive. If he brings the knight out, which is maybe the most natural way to block the check, the king obviously can't move away, then you can bring this knight in here, and you've got a lot of pressure on that pinned knight, and so that's interesting. And if he blocks with the bishop, which is the best move according to the chess engine, then you can grab a pawn, and you just are going to stay a pawn up in this line. So that's good. Bishop to b4 check. So anyway, I play bishop e7. We get into a position which is about even. So it's not like I played horrible moves, but there were better moves available to me. And so let's just go on a few moves. He finally rounds up that pawn, and I play c5. That's a good move, opening things up so my pieces have some scope after I needlessly lock the light squared bishop in with that e6 move. At least I'll give it a little activity over here. He takes, take back with the knight, and now he surprised me by trading queens. Really, the simplest move here for white is just to castle, and then if I trade queens, it brings his rook to the center. So that's the way white should play that. When he castles, he brings my rook to the center, and now I have a little bit of an edge once again, so I'm a little bit better in this position. Let's see, he goes, he castles, I go knight d5. Okay, my knight's on good squares. He goes knight bd2. I go bishop g5. This was kind of a weird idea, not particularly good. What's a reasonable move here? Oh, the chess engine was recommending this plan. Rook to b8, pawn to b6, bishop to b7, and that's a nice way to do it. Notice that the problem with rook b8 is often this bishop coming to the f4 square and hitting that rook, which doesn't have a lot of scope. But in this case, that's not possible for a couple of reasons. One is that at the moment his knight is in the way, and for another reason, my knight is covering that square. So I've got this pretty well set up for this rook b8, pawn to b6, bishop b7 maneuver, and I should really play that here. So this move is a mistake. Although not losing, it still leaves the game about even. He plays knight f3 here, and I trade bishops. And now he should, of course, take back with this rook. Instead, he took back with the other rook, and now this fork is actually winning for black. I really have a winning advantage at this point. So But he finds a really clever defense to the fork. It doesn't entirely work. He plays e4, and I just automatically move that knight away, not seeing the idea here. But that's a clever move. I mean, normally you can, when your piece is under attack and you have a fork somewhere else, you can normally just move that piece away because the fork is still standing on the board after you've moved your piece. But in this case, after I move my piece away, it's opened up the D file. And so as rook comes to D1, and I have a loose rook back here, so I can't just ignore this. I have to trade it off or block or something. So if we back up after E4, the reason why this doesn't work is if I pause to think about what the idea is here, I realize that I have to grab the exchange right now. I don't have time to move that piece away. And then after he takes back, I still have a knight hanging here, but I can move this away. Or he could take back the other way. He could take this way, and then this knight can escape. Either way, I'm just winning the exchange. So that's the right way to play that. So this moving the knight away gives the game back to white, or, well, it gets it back to the range of about even. So let's see, I block with bishop d7. He actually gives me the advantage back again immediately. He should play rook to, not there, rook to a3, attacking my knight, defending the a-pawn. He went rook here. I grab a pawn. So I'm a pawn up. And but he has good pieces, and so this is not a winning edge. It's a slight edge for black. Let's see. Drops in here with knight b6. This knight on d6 in particular is an annoying piece. Let's see. I bring this bishop back to a good square. We're opposing his bishop. He goes e5, defending his knight. I block here. Goes knight to d4, provoking some trades. Trades are good for me at this point because I'm a pawn up. Get rid of some of those pieces and just win with the extra pawn. The only problem I have in this position is this strong knight. And he gives me a chance to take care of it. Here I play rook a to b8. I guess I'm preparing to, I'm defending this pawn in case he decides to attack it or something. He goes bishop takes. That's probably not a good move. That was a good bishop, and he's traded it for that knight, which wasn't doing a whole lot. And then he plays rook f4, and this move was a mistake. So another chance. Can you figure out the best move for black in this position? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. The move is f6. So this is a move I want to play anyway. It undermines the knight, but I'm playing it at a time when he can't answer with f4. So you throw in this f6 move, you're attacking this pawn, and white needs to do something about this. If he defends the pawn with a piece, you can actually take that pawn. For example, if he were to play, let's erase some of these arrows. If he were to play rook to e1, defending that pawn, you could take the pawn anyway, and it's a double attack. It's attacking that knight, and it's attacking the loose rook, and so you gain material. So what white has to play in this position is he has to either move the knight away. Yeah, eventually he's just got to move that knight away. You can also move the rook away. But then in any case, I will just grab the pawn, and the knight will have to move. So that's a way to gain another pawn and get rid of this annoying knight. So at that point I'll be 2 pawns up, and it'll be a winning endgame for me. So f6 right there is the natural and best move. Anyway, I played rook d7 defending. He was attacking f7, so I defended it. He goes rook c1. I go king f8, and he went rook b4. So I go b6. He was attacking the b pawn. He goes f4 now, and I go king e7. So now I can try and undermine the knight, but this pawn being reinforced by the f-pawn, I can't ever really get rid of that knight. It's kind of annoying. So I decide to, at this point, it goes king e3. I trade off this pawn, and then I give up the exchange. And actually, the position is still about even here and after the exchange. This is not a bad move, and it gives me some winning chances. So the position will stay in the range of about even for the rest of the game, actually. Let's go through, because this was kind of a long game. There's a lot of maneuvering. He gets one pawn back. The thing is, I'm momentarily 2 pawns up, but his rooks are active enough to win back one of the pawns. So it's going to be not quite enough compensation for the exchange, objectively speaking. So white's a little better, but I should probably still draw. And since I'm the one with the extra pawn, let's see, I was trying to step through that in order. I hit the wrong button. Since I'm the one with the extra pawn, I'm the one that actually has the winning chances here. So we trade off the pawns and we get to this position right here. Rook g2 check, king e3. Okay, it's my move right here. So as I was saying, I have 1 pawn for the exchange, which is objectively not enough, but it is the pawn that gives me some winning chances. So it's still a position I can play on and hope for mistakes. But it turns out I'm the one who makes the mistake here. So the problem is I didn't recognize exactly what was going on here, but there's a pin on this pawn, and my bishop is under attack. So my bishop is just hanging, and I really need to do something about that right here. I could just go for a draw with just continual checks against his king, or I could play on with king to e5. And both of those are about even. So, and this would still leave me with some possibilities of winning by pushing that pawn forward. So this king e5 is probably the move I would choose if I had this to do over. But instead, I played rook to c2. And this final mistake was too much. He just takes my bishop off, and I resign. So there's no hope in this position. Anyway, it was an interesting game, just a few too many mistakes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.